Last night was famous dances night or iconic dances. Kind of debatable, but we'll get to that. Um, the opening number was fun. It was all right, I guess. My only real issue with it was I didn't really understand why Val was in his underwear. Um, that made no sense to me. It was just kind of random and didn't go with any of the dance, and it's just like, why are you in your underwear with no shirt on and a suit coat? Okay. Um, but otherwise, yeah, no guest judges, just the three that we're used to. Um, so yeah, let's go ahead and get started. First, we had Kim and Sasha. They had a jive to You Can't Stop the Beat from Hairspray. They got a 24. This is great. It was fun. It was enjoyable. It was a great way to kick off the show. Um, Kim has definitely improved a lot since week one. She's a lot more confident and a lot more sure of herself. You can see the growth. I know a lot of people were talking about, oh, she hasn't grown that much. And Carrie Ann was talking about how she stayed consistent, which isn't a bad thing, you know. Staying consistent is a good thing. Um, it's unfortunate that because she's consistently been good, because she hasn't been bad ever. So the fact that she's just been consistently good, but she's kind of on this steady incline up. People aren't really appreciating her growth, but you know, whatever. They got a 24. I would have thrown in 1-9, just because I thought it was their best dance to date. But it was still great. Great score. It was fun. Um, whatever. Next, we had Vaughn and Whitney. They jazzed to. Tonight was like the night of 1,000 jazzes. Everybody had jazz because jazz on Dancing with the Stars means do whatever you want, or freestyle number one, or you know, that type of stuff. So yeah. Anyway, so Vaughn and Whitney had a jazz. They got a 24, and they were dancing to Michael Jackson's Bad. So I'm gonna preface this critique and my other critique for the person who did, well, for Ginger and Val who did Janet. I'm gonna say this: when you're doing somebody like Michael and Janet, you have to have the moves down. Okay, you can't be unsure about anything. You have to have like this energy and this attitude and this confidence, and you have to be sure. You have to be on point every single time, everywhere. You just have to be on point with those two. And so any sort of just doubt you see automatically. With a music video as big as Bad was, you have to be like more on point. Like if it were something like, what is the video that he was dancing? Not Dirty Dance, Blood on the Dance Floor, where it wasn't as big of a hit, then I could see like, you know, having a little bit, being able to get away with a little bit more. But since it was Bad, it is such a huge song, you have to bring it. And I don't think they completely brought it. Now, what I will say is that I think Vaughn did really well for him. But I just don't think he was up to the task of taking on Michael Jackson, because Michael Jackson has huge shoes to fill. You know, he's a legend for a reason. That's why he's a legend. But yeah, he just moves. There were moments where it was really good, moments where it was just like, ugh, what was that? He tends to move small sometimes. I understand that, being a tall person, being a big person. People who are taller don't like to look too tall, so they kind of shorten their movements up. And so it looked like he was really trying to do that, but then he would open up some, and then he would like come back in. It was very weird. I do think it was a great effort. I do think he danced pretty well. It just, for me, wasn't up to what needed to be if you're doing Michael Jackson. Um, Next, we have Jodie and Keo. They did Contemporary to Pink's Try. They got a 25. This is the one where I'm like, I'm not sure if this is really iconic because the song is so new and, it's not even that new. It's like from 2012, but because it's so fresh and so new, it hasn't really had time to just sit and gel with us. I'm sure nobody's going to really think about it in another 10 years. The only real move that I can think about they didn't put in was the move where Pink is balancing the guy and she's like the bass for it, which is a really cool move, but not many people can pull that off, and especially not many women can pull it off because you have to have a lot of core strength. Not a lot of people can't pull it off, period. You have to have a ton of core strength in order to pull that off. I thought they did well for the most part. Well enough. Nothing to really write home about. I do think they got a little out of sync at times, but I still think they did a pretty good job. Well-deserved score. I am worried for her next week, but yeah. Next, we have Paige and Mark. They did a jazz to Soul Bossa Nova from Austin Powers. I believe that's what the song is called. Don't quote me on that. They got a 28 at their first 10 of the season. They did a great job. Fantastic. Paige is really great at everything she does. Despite all the problems they had with music clearance this week, they had some issues with getting... They couldn't do their original song and routine because the person or the show took it back from them and said they couldn't do it due to legal issues, but there's other things going on with that, I think. That's what I hear. There's other things going on with that. But they made this routine work. It was a really good routine. My only issue with it was that they just seemed to be out of sync, slightly out of sync in some moments. And unfortunately, I saw it and I just didn't think it was 10 worthy. 9s for sure. It was worth 9s for sure, but 10, no. But yeah, again, worried for her. She was put in jeopardy along with Vaughn. Worried for both of them. I think putting them both in jeopardy may have bought them another week. The next week is a double elimination, so you never know. And nobody's really safe at this point. Next, we had Niall and Peta. They did a quick step. They got a 25, and they did a quick step to Hey Pachuco from The Mask. Now, this is a very special dance icon for tonight. The reason being is because while the movie has that iconic number, you also have two dances that were done on the show that were very iconic. You have Elio and Julianne, who had a quick step to it, and Elio was in a yellow suit, and it brought down the house back in season 5, and it really just tore the place up, and everybody was just like, wow, I can't believe this, and the kiss at the end and all that. It was like magic. And then Sean and Derek in season 15 put their own spin on it and made it into a different quick step, but a very iconic one on its own. So they both stand on their own, and they're both very strong dancers on their own. One of which got Derek off his Emmy, but they're very strong dancers on their own. So if anybody takes on this song, you really have a lot to live up to, because not only did the movie do it so well, but you have two other couples who were on the show that did amazing routines to this. And for me, it was all right. It wasn't amazing. It wasn't terrible. It was all right. He got off time. They were out of sync, and his frame just isn't very good. He was hunched over. I do think it's weird that the judges kind of are off and on with him. Every other week they pick at him. It's like one week they nitpick, and then the next week they're like, you're amazing, and then they nitpick, and then you're amazing, and then it's very weird, and it's very jarring because a lot of the stuff that they nitpick, he does the same next week, and they don't. It's very weird. But yeah, I think he did well. I do think the mask may have gotten in a bit in the way. I do think the show has a lot of creative control over what a lot of their people do, and I think they forced Niall and Peter for him to put that on for them to do the choreographic direction that they went with. But yeah, still it was all right. It wasn't bad. Next, we had Ginger and Val. They had a Jazz to Nasty by Janet Jackson. Like I said earlier about Vaughn and Whitney doing Michael, you can't do Janet and not be sure about what you're doing. And this one was worse for me. They got a 24. This one was worse for me because Ginger was really just did not sell it at all. None of it was sold to me. The attitude was very like, okay. And for me, it was very it was just like a second-rate cheerleading team. It's like, just like, she was like doing the claps and was like, and I was looking at it like, okay. Okay. And like, because I'm a huge Janet fan, I was just watching it like, so, okay. Because not only am I a huge Janet fan, but she's just, again, another legend. She's a living legend, and she when she dances, she's sure of everything, and she hits every beat, and she hits the mark, and she just has this feeling that you can't be duplicated, but if you're going to try and go after it, you have to really commit, and I don't think Ginger fully committed. I did not like the dance at all. Sorry. Also, why was Val shirtless at the end? I don't know. It made no sense. That wasn't even in the video. You weren't supposed to be paying attention to any of the men. You were paying attention to Janet. So why was he shirtless at the... I don't know. But they got a 24. Next, we had Doug and Karina. They did a Bollywood routine. Woo, I cannot speak. And they got a 21. I think this is a very good dance for them to go out on. Doug was eliminated. I think this was a very good dance for them to go out on. Doug looked like he was having a blast. I'm glad that Karina did her Googles and she really researched Bollywood, because the last time Bollywood was done on the show, it really looked like a caricature of the actual dance. It looked like they didn't take it seriously, Peta and Jill. And I'm glad that Karina really went and did her research, because it didn't look as comical and as silly and as ridiculous as Jill and Peta's did back in season 15. It really looked like they took the time and effort to make it look like, hey, this is a dance that people do, and it's part of the culture, and it's not something that's silly. But yeah, it was the Bollywood to Jai Ho, because Americans only know of one Bollywood routine ever. But whatever. Next, we had Wanya and Lindsay. They had a Jazz. They got a 29. Jazz to Bye Bye Bye, the NSYNC VMA performance. Perfect. Great. Should have been a perfect score. Don't know why it wasn't. Finally, Antonio and Sharna, they had a jive. They got a 27. 27 wasn't deserved. Antonio just, I just don't like him. That's all I have to say. So yeah,